What's up, classes? It's Mr. Hayes here on Tuesday, May 19th. Today, we're going to move forward with our movie review work by continuing to write what you could consider the movie review's body paragraphs. These paragraphs contain our primary reasons for either liking or disliking the movie and the evidence or examples that go with them. You hopefully are staying on pace, which means you've written one already yesterday and infused that voice or that tone within that paragraph. Today we're going to continue writing the same sort of paragraph, either two or three more, depending on how many reasons you have in your movie review planner. We're going to be adding a few more paragraphs to that Google Doc with our movie review on it that we began yesterday. So to show you more about this, let's jump into our module. Today's announcements. The daily checklist is the same as yesterday. After you finish watching this video outlining today's work, you're going to write your next 2 to 3 body paragraphs on your movie review document linked here. This link just takes you to the application activity from yesterday's module, so you can click on that link to take you to your movie review assignment. Optional sessions below, and then the week at a glance if you want to see what's ahead. Tomorrow is the catch-up day. So if you fall behind, you're not quite at the point where you should be at the end of the day today, you will have a day tomorrow to catch up with that. So if you fall behind, there's no reason to hit the panic button. I would like you to try to stay as close to on pace as possible, but keep in mind you will have tomorrow with nothing brand new that you can make up some ground. Today's teaching point is that critics develop their reasoning by making connections between their ideas and the evidence they're presenting. This is just like you'd be writing a CER in science, where you have your claim, your evidence, and your reasoning. There's no different in the movie review, where you are stating a reason why you like or dislike the movie, and to add more credibility to what you have to say and your argument, you have to add some specific evidence, some examples from scenes or moments or things that you noticed on your movie review planner that back up what you're trying to convey to the reader of your movie review. Mini lesson video posted here as soon as I'm done talking. And here's the application activity, same as yesterday. The only difference is the link to today's slides are a little bit different, so I'll walk you through that in a bit. But here's another opportunity to click on a link and send you easily to your movie review document to add to what you started on yesterday. And as always, I've linked the Romeo and Juliet movie review planner here, so if you click on that, you can see, I'm going a little bit more here, you can see some of my body paragraphs in this finished one from last year. If you go down to the blue, you can see all my different body paragraphs with my reasoning and evidence to back it up, which is exactly what we'll talk about today. All right, so let's go into today's work by clicking on the slideshow. So today's schedule is as follows, and it's the same as you would see on the module that I just talked you through with our teaching point and the video I'll post here. What I want to do to help all of you write these body paragraphs today is give you some sentence stems. These are sentence stems that you can weave into your paragraph that help you introduce the evidence that backs up your reason. So you're often going to start your body paragraph with that reason, whether it is the reason I love this movie is because the ending scene was so powerful, or the reason I hated this movie is because the actors were way in over their head, or the reason I like this scene was because of the way the setting was built by the cinematographer and the costume designers. But after you state that reason, you're going to want to back that up with more specific evidence. Well, what about that scene? Which specific costume was so great? What was one line that actor said that really stood out to you as poorly delivered or really well delivered? Well, I have some sentence stems here that can help you compose that. I've got 5 here. You're going to see that I weave a couple of these 5 into my example paragraph in a second. I would caution you to not overuse these, though. You don't want to sound too formulaic or robotic. Just like with our CQAs, you don't want to use a sentence stem with every single sentence in your analysis. It can help get you started. It can help bridge some ideas, but it shouldn't be overdone to the point where you don't sound natural. So I just suggest maybe using 1 of these per body paragraph, but maybe 2, but don't overuse them, okay? And if you don't want to use them at all, that's perfectly fine. I'm not going to check that you did, but I figured that it might help. So you're going to see how I use these with my example here. So what I did to write my next body paragraph is the same thing I did yesterday when I wrote my first body paragraph with my reason number 1 in my evidence, is I went to my planner. and I went back and I checked out, okay, what did I put on my planner as a reason that I'm going to make into a full body paragraph? So I did that here, and I jumped to my reason number 3, which is one of the reasons I loved Dead Poet Society was the setting of Welton Academy in Vermont during the fall and the winter, and the way the director set that up to make this movie setting really match what's happening in the plot. And so you can see my reason number 3 here, and my 2 examples of why I liked it so much. I like the Gothic castle-like campus because it's acting as a fortress that's symbolic. It's not just realistic that it would look like this, it is, but it's also symbolic because these young students' feelings and emotions are trapped inside this fortress too. They can't express what they really want to be. And then secondly, the Mulu, the excellent costumes, the way that you feel like you're jumping right into the 1950s. What I mean by costumes is more clothing. The leather jackets, the way the hairstyles are more kind of old style, old school. The students wearing suits and ties to class. Even Buddy Holly, who was a big artist in the late 50s, playing on the jukebox at a party. So, got my main reason, my 2 pieces of evidence, and now I'm going to put all this together into a body paragraph that touches on all of these elements, while thinking that I may use 1 or 2 of these sentence stems. You can see that I did, just to show you how to use them, I did those in bold down here. Okay, so what I'm going to do here, you can see the color coded here. What I'm going to do is after I finish talking about this video, when I actually put the slideshow up for you, to look at I will color code which of these parts of the planner I made into which sentence down below in my paragraph. Okay, but first I'd like to talk you through my idea here. The first sentence is my reason number 3 in this case. The master director Peter Weir and his cinematographer John Seal were never more in control than their use and design of Welton Academy as a setting for the students' self-discovery. So I took this sort of bullet point, incomplete sentence, this thought, and made it into more of a professional, complete sentence. I don't know the director and cinematographer off the top of my head. I had to look that up. IMDb is a great database for all movie information. I would suggest using it so you can reference these specific actors and the people behind the scenes to make your review sound more official. Okay, now that I mentioned my reason, I'm going to go into now my examples here, and I'm going to use the sentence step, the first one here. This was never more evident than Welton's Gothic light castle campus, acting as a fitting fortress meant to keep its residents' wishes and beliefs trapped inside. The vibrant fall colors match the optimism of another school year, only to be replaced by the blizzards of a Vermont winter, accompanying turmoil and the bringing of darkness to Neil's life. So here, what I did after my main reason of the setting is I got into more detail and depth about the example of how great the setup was of the campus, but also added a new thought I hadn't mentioned in my planner that I thought of, which is the way that the early fall colors from those first days of school that we watched in class, with those initial classes with Mr. Keating, um, got quickly replaced into the winter with a blizzard, like I'm walking out of Neil's play, if you remember that scene, and how that sort of matches with Neil's life starting to become more dark and starting to become more cold, with his father coming down on him and him being unable to live out the life that he wants to and the tragedy that follows. And then I got into my second example here with one. One can't help but feel transported to the 1950s as each detail is captured spectacularly. Well, the reader's going to want to know, what do you mean by that? What are some examples of that back that thought up? The scene that highlights this, as I use another sentence, the scene that highlights this is Knox's frat house fight, with leather jackets down a huge football player and the tunes of Buddy Holly heard from the jukebox of the corner. So I've got my reason to open up the paragraph, and then my examples that back it up with my sentence stems to help me along the way. That is your goal for today. So at the end of the day today, or really at the end of the day tomorrow, if you want to make up some ground with your catch-up day, you should have these paragraphs completed. You should have your intro paragraph with your hook. You should have your summary paragraph, and you should have at least 3 body paragraphs. You can see they're not long, only about 5 sentences or so, but make them really strong and detailed and efficient. Don't go on and on forever. Make each sentence count. I've talked about that all year, right? So 5 total paragraphs: intro and hook, summary, and then your 3 body paragraphs should be at least started on, if not completed, by the end of the day tomorrow, Wednesday. I am around for any help you may need. You can jump on my Hangout, you can send me an email. I don't really know how to write my second body paragraph. I'm struggling to come up with a hook. I can help you, so don't hesitate to reach out. We can come up with something together, okay? So everyone has a good Tuesday and a good catch-up day tomorrow. We'll be back at it with a new lesson on Thursday. Thanks, guys.